Today's Tuesday. It is Chav Zayin Shvat Tovshin Ayin Dalet. We are at Teres Menachem, Sefer HaMamorim, Tovshin Yud Aleph, Tovshin Yud Beis, and the Mamar of Purim, Tovshin Yud Beis, and we're up to page Reish Chav Tes. Reish Chav Ches, Ois Gimel, chapter 3. The Rebbe began by explaining that Purim is connected, the celebration or the miracle of Purim is connected to four things: Oida, Simcha, Sasan, Vikar, as the pasuk says. Each one of them being a reference to another aspect in Torah and Mitzvahs. Oida is Torah, Simcha is Yom Tov, Sasan is Milah, circumcision, and Yikar is Tefillin. And nonetheless, the celebration of Purim is connected to two of them, mainly. Eira, which is Torah, and Simcha, which is joy. Why? The Rebbe explained the difference between the joy of Yom Tov and the joy of Purim. The joy of Yom Tov is limited, the joy of Purim is unlimited. And the reason being because Yom Tov is the revelations, the godly revelations, the divine revelations that come about, take place on Yom Tov, are within the confines of Seder Hishtalshelus, the chain order of creation, whereas Purim is beyond the chain order of creation. And that is why, when Mashiach will come, all other festivals will be nullified, which means to say we will celebrate them, but their meaningfulness will be reduced, diminished, because the revelations that will be prevalent when Mashiach will come are revelations from beyond the chain order of creation. So Purim, which is also beyond the chain order of creation, will still be meaningful to the revelations of Purim even when Mashiach will come. Chapter 3, Gimel. To understand this concept in more detail, it is known that generally speaking, the chain order of creation is divided into four parts. What are the four parts of Seder Hishtalshelus? The four realms: Atzilus, Bria, Yetzira, Asiya. Emanation, creation, formation, and action, or making. Shezehu Masha Kosov Vapasik. Masha Nemer Vapasik. This is what is written. This is what is written in the verse in Yeshaya. Koil hanikra bishmi v'lichvedi, everything that is called with my name and for my honor, berosiv yitzartiv af asisiv. I have created it, I have formed it, I have also made it. So over here we have a reference for, as Koil hanikra bishmi v'lichvedi is Atzilus, Berosiv, Yitzartiv, Afasisiv is Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya. We learned about this also in a previous Maimer, this concept of Nikra Bishmi V'Lechvedi, Berosiv, Yitzartiv, Afasisiv. The Rebbe explained it quite at length in one of the previous Mamorim. Which Maimer was it? It was in the Maimer of the Havin in Simchas Torah. Over there he explained it, I think, slightly differently. Yeah, no, he explained over there also. And he explained Shmi is Shem Havaya, which includes everything. And then he said it's not a contradiction to the fact that it refers to the four different elements. Anyway, we have a look earlier in the Sefer HaMamorim on page Kuf Mem Tes. Over there he also explains this pasuk. Be that as it may, this pasuk refers to the four realms of Atzilus, Bri, Yetzirah, and Asiya. And the Rebbe goes on and explains in more detail. When we say Berosiv Yitzartiv Afasisiv, Bria, creation, formation, and action, or making, as it were, that refers to the division of the three realms. Which three realms? Olam Ha'asiyah, Hagashmi Oyaruchni, the world of action, of making, the physical world of Asiyah, or the spiritual world of Asiyah. Olam HaGalgalim, Ekvishanikra Olam HaMalachim Yitzira, the world of the spheres, or as it's called in Kabbalah, the world of the angels, which would be Yitzira, the world of formation, Olam HaNeshamis, and the world of souls, which is Bria. I just want to point out that over here it seems that the Rebbe is saying that Olam HaGalgalim, the world of the spheres, is Yitzira. I need to look into this further. I didn't manage to go through in depth the various references that are pointed to here. But in other places, I believe that generally speaking, when we say the world of spheres, that is Olam HaAsiyah. It's the world of action. Here he says, the way it's punctuated, it seems that Olam HaGalgalim, the world of the spheres, is the world of the angels. If you look in the Rambam, in Hilchos Yesodei HaTorah, chapter 2, halacha 3, over there he also brings the world of the spheres, and he talks about the world of the spheres and the stars. He talks about the different types of creatures. There are creatures that have a soul and a body, and they change, like humans. Everything, the creatures in our world as we know it. We continue. The line continues. The species continues, but it's not the same one, the original one. Creatures are born or grow, and then ebb. Then they die off, and then the next one continues, right? But then you have created beings that continue to last for all time, like the spheres and the stars. Now, where are the stars? Where are the spheres? They are in our world, Olam HaAsiyah, right? Outer space, whatever you want to call it, but it's there. It's in our world, Olam HaAsiyah. Here he seems to imply, if not imply, here he seems to state quite specifically that Olam HaGalgalim, the world of the spheres, is Olam HaYetzirah. So I have to look into that further, but I just want to point that out in case anybody wants to do some looking into that on their own. That would be helpful as well. So we'll pick up on that perhaps in the forthcoming Shiurim. But in any event, these are the three worlds: the physical and the spiritual Olam HaAsiyah, which is the lowest. Then there is the world of Yetzirah, which is called the world of Malachim, and also, as he says over here, the world of Galgalim, the spheres. And then the world of the souls, which is Bria. This is also why the language in the pasuk, in the verse from Yeshaya that was just quoted, changes. It says Berosiv, Yitzartiv, and then it says Af Asisiv, right? Really, it should have said what? Berosiv, Yitzartiv, Asisiv. What's the Af also? So the Rebbe goes into a pretty lengthy explanation, and we'll get to that in a minute. But the Rebbe begins like this.
Could does Hagilgulim not relate to the Igulim?
Well, then certainly it's not Olam HaAsiyah.
Yeah.
It's you're talking even beyond.
Yeah.
So we need to look at that. I looked up some other Mamarim of the Rebbe where he says one Maimer in particular. Anyway, I don't want to go into it until I have a clear picture. I'm just pointing out that this seems to be an anomaly. This is also the difference in the language, in the pasuk, in the verse, where it says, Berosiv Yitzartiv, I have created it, I have formed it, I have also made it. Shahaloshim Berosiv, well, first of all, the Rebbe says, first of all, here the Rebbe says, he explains simply the three words. The three words. Created, formed, and made. They seem to be different expressions saying the same thing. Says the Rebbe, no, they're not saying the same thing. They're talking about different aspects of creation, different types of creation. The expression berosiv, I have created it, alludes to creation, as the Latin is ex nihilo, something from nothing. Kameshakosov Ramban, as the famous Nachmanides in Bereshis, right in the beginning of Genesis, his commentary on the Torah, on the Chumash. So he says, when he says Bereshis bara, what he explains the word bara. She'ein etzleinu b'loshen hakodesh, b'hitzos yesh mi'ayin ela loshen bara. By us, meaning to say in loshen hakodesh, in the holy tongue, in Hebrew, there is no expression that denotes bringing something forth from nothing, besides the expression bara. In other words, the word bara denotes bringing forth something from nothing, creation. Masha enkin yitzartiv, but when we say yitzartiv, humiloshen l'sinas surah, that is already from the expression of giving something form. So in other words, shemashmos hadovar, when you say yitzartiv, in other words, it means sheyesh nekvar hachemer, that the matter already exists. V'chemer zeh mekabel es asura, and it's this matter that is given and receives form. V'hainu, which means that when you say yitzartiv or yitzira, that expression, now we're not talking about creating something from nothing to something. Ex nihilo. Ki'im shehayesh mishtana, when you say yitzartiv, rather it means that the yesh, the matter that already exists, changes, umekabel tzura, and receives a form. So that is berosiv yitzartiv. What is asisiv? Behaloshen asisiv meira al gemar vashlamas adavar. When you say I have made it, it means, it alludes to the conclusion and finishing the job, finishing the matter, the creation. Omnom, however, be'inyan asisiv yesh ma'ili yisera. However, when we say the word asisiv, there is an extra quality over and above the previous two that were mentioned, yitzartiv and asisiv. Right? Shalachein nemar, because of af asisiv. That's why the pasuk says af. I have also made it. It doesn't say berosiv yitzartiv asisiv. I've made it. I have created it. I've formed it. I've made it. It says I've created it. I formed it. I also made it. What's also? Also means to say, or even, in addition to creating and forming, I have also made it. That seems to denote what? An additional quality that comes into being over and above the previous two. When you say af, it comes to denote and alludes to the addition of something new. Because even when you have only the form alone, which is denoted in what? In the word berosiv, or the matter alone, which is denoted in the word berosiv, or the form alone, which is denoted in yitzartiv. It could be that there shouldn't be a physical existence in actual fact. This is the innovation of af asisiv. I've also made it. That a physical thing has been created in actual fact. In other words, let's look at Olam Abriya, for example. What do we have in Olam Abriya? Neshamas. The world of souls is in Olam Abriya. Also, you have in Olam Abriya some very high angels. They're called Srafim, right? Now, these things are created things. These beings are created, but they're not physical, right? They're created beings, but they're not physical. In Yitzira, what do we have? Generally, as mentioned, it's the world of angels. Here he seems to say it's also the world of spheres. But it's the world of angels. So what do we have? We also have created beings. but we don't have what? Gashmias. There's no physicality. So there could be, the point that I was making is, there could be creation, and it could be even yesh me'ayin, something from nothing, right? But not Gashmias. When we talk about created beings, the distance between them and their source is me'ayin liyesh, is yesh me'ayin. Why? Because it goes through the tzimtzum, etc. But then there's another leap necessary to go from that to Gashmias, to physical. That's what the Rebbe is leading into. Just a second, Eddie. She'inyan zeh, when we talk about Bria and Yetzirah, where we have created beings, but not Gashmias, it's not in a manner of a link chain. In other words, you don't get from the higher stage, before creation, to creation in a gradual, progressive order of descent. Why? I'm sorry. When we talk about creation in Gashmias, to get something physical, right? A physical created being, you will not get from the levels of Bria and Yetzirah to Asiya, where you have physical existence in a manner of Seder Shtalshlus, in a gradual and ordered manner. In other words, as much as you will reduce gradually the potency of the revelations from the higher levels, as much as you will shrink that down, you will not get Gashmias. The leap between Bria and Yetzirah and Asiyah HaGashmi is quantum. There's no connection between the two, in the sense that it's not gradual. Why? Top of page, as much as there will be the reduction and the chain link movement of the spiritual levels from the higher level to the lower level, you will not get from that the creation of something physical. Therefore, what is included in the chain order of creation, the Berosiv, Yitzartiv, Asisiv. In other words, when you bunch them together, Bri, Yitzir, and Asiyah, obviously Bria being the highest one, and Asiyah being the lowest sphere, the lowest realm, this is only so far as the spiritual Asiyah, realm of Asiyah, is concerned. But from the perspective of the physical Asiyah, that's where the af comes in the verse. I've also made it. Af, what does it mean? Hifsik. There's a gap. It stops. In other words, it puts what follows the af into a separate category. It's different. It's inherently different. It's fundamentally different from those that precede it. Why? Being that the creation of the physical yesh, physical existence down here in our world as we know it, it's not in a manner of coming forth in a gradual and related manner from the higher levels of Brosiv and Yitzartiv, Bri and Yitzirah, but rather its coming into being, its creation, is also in a manner of from nothing to something. Ex nihilo. Right? Just like we say that Bria, Brosiv, the first of the highest of these three realms, Bora denotes what? Creation, something from nothing. But over there in El Mabriya, what are we talking about? We're talking about souls, or very high angels, spiritual beings, spiritual created things, created beings. So too, when we come to the last level, Olam Asiyah Gashmi, the physical Asiyah, there's another Ayin Liyesh, because to get from spiritual to physical creation, that's Ayin Liyesh, that's Ex Nihilo. She's Havus Zu, this creation of something physical is from such a level which is Nailis Yesir, much higher, Leirak Yitzartiv. Not only does it emanate from something which is beyond Yitzartiv, the world of formation. It comes from a source, from a power which is even greater than the world of Bria, that which brought the world of Bria into being. This is denoted in this word, this additional word of af also. What are we referring to? It refers to God's infinite power. We're talking about Hashem himself. He is not the result of any cause or any reason that preceded him at all. You're talking about Hashem himself, who's omnipresent. Therefore, he himself has the power and the ability to create yesh, something me'ayin, from nothing, ve'efes, hamuchlat, an absolute nothingness. He is able to create something from absolute nothingness, meaning to say, what are we talking about? Something physical from something spiritual. So that is the af asisif. Yes, sir.
Where does Atzilut fit in? The world of Atzilut, where does that fit in with these three?
It doesn't fit into these three. The world of Atzilus, generally speaking, he mentioned Atzilus before, but he hasn't been discussing Atzilus here. Atzilus is the world of emanation. In Atzilus, generally speaking, that's still in the realm of the emanator. It's the realm within Seder Ishtalshalus which expresses the emanator. You don't have creatures there. You have what's called netzolim, emanations. You have in Atzilus. When we start talking about creation, that begins from Bria, from the world of Bria, right? So there are created beings in Bria, but what are they? They're spiritual. Souls are creations. Srofim, angels that are srofim, are creations, are creatures, right? It's already in the world of creation. But it's not creation as we know it in the physical sense. It's not physical creation. So his point is that you have the realm of Ishtalshalus. In the realm of Ishtalshalus, you obviously have different types of creatures or creations, who are creations in the sense that they are yesh me'ayin, something from nothing, ex nihilo, but you have the spiritual ones, like in the world of Bria, and also Yitzira, I guess, but from Yitzira to Bria they're more related. But then you have Asiyah, and in Asiyah you have the spiritual aspect of Asiyah, which is still within the spiritual realm of Bria, Yitzira, and Asiyah. But then you have the af, the gap, and the leap, from the spiritual to the physical, and to get from there, you need an infusion. You need the activation of what? Of a power of a force which is beyond Yitzira and beyond Bria. And actually it means what? Hashem himself. Because only Hashem himself could create actual physical existence.
Why did he use the word af instead of gam?
Good question. Not sure, but the general idea, again, is to denote the gap. The gap of putting it into a separate category. So this is the first section of the explanation. Now the Rebbe is going to explain the idea of yesh me'ayin and why whatever is referred to as yesh is referred to as yesh, and whatever referred to as ayin is actually referred to as ayin. That's the next section. And we'll continue in Mr. Shem